Okay, we're live. My name's Michael Mason. Hopefully everybody knows me. And this is Plus My Reach, and we're talking about monetizing your Hangouts. This is the second show, and today we're going to be talking about media kits. Some people may know what this is, and they may be familiar with it. Others may not, and we hope, I certainly hope I'm going to learn something from this tonight. And we've got Ryan J. Rhoades with us again to talk about media kits. And of course Laurie Lazo. So I'm going to hand over to the guys and run the technical at the back, follow comments and see what's happening on the event. Now we're tracking all comments on the event page. We're also tracking the hashtag #PlusMyReach on Google and also on Twitter. So if you have anything to say, by all means use the hashtag and we'll capture that for you. So over to you, Laurie.
Hi everyone, it's awesome to be here and talk about media kits. I love them. I think they're so awesome. They're like a resume for your Hangouts or for your business. They've been around for a long time. Bloggers use them. Television shows, companies use them. I mean, it's really like, it's the same thing as a press kit, you know, that you would send out to try to get press for your business. This is a media kit is a very similar format. So we were going to talk with Ryan, who can do these for you. He's a graphic artist, and I definitely highly recommend a graphic artist does that for you, especially if you've taken the time to get your logo package from Ryan. He's delivering your packages. And so we definitely want you to have that same consistent look, because we talked about it last week, or the week before last, the consistency. We're going to first talk about the sections of a media kit, and the very first section that you have will include your cover page, which has all of your details. It will have your logo. It will have all of your contact information. How much goes into that, Ryan, to make those unique?
Well, a lot of it is basically, first of all, hi everybody. Thanks for watching. A lot of it is, like you said before, it's about consistency. And so every media kit's going to look different. Every media kit is going to be custom tailored to you and your brand. So, for example, Laurie's media kit, it's got all kinds of stuff about the interior design community, and it's got the same colors, the same fonts, and that's kind of how it works whenever we would be working with you guys and helping you create yours. We would talk about your fonts, we would talk about your color schemes, we would talk about your logo and kind of the message that you want to communicate whenever you are reaching out to others and different companies for sponsorship opportunities for your shows. And we would basically just make sure that this media kit would be an adequate reflection of you and your brand. So it's definitely a custom-made process, and there is a lot that goes into it, but it's worth it whenever it's all said and done. So.
Yeah, I think that just like your resume is for if you're trying to apply for a job, a media kit is your resume for your Hangout in this case. So first impressions are so important, and having it look really, really tight and perfect is a really important thing. That's kind of why I recommend, I don't always recommend that you use a graphic artist, sorry Ryan, but I don't always recommend it, because I mean no one can keep up with it for the day-to-day of putting out social media and that kind of thing. But sure, there are a few things you should spend money on, and your website is your definitely your house, is your storefront. Your logo is that's your brand. That's everything comes from your logo. That's the very first thing that you really sort of take a look at. What is your brand going to say, and what is it going to be? And then your media kit, which is how you're going to sell all of that stuff. So how you're going to attract customers. So I think that those three things need to look very similar. They need to look and feel, like they belong in the same family. And you're leading people so that everywhere they go, they kind of see who you are. It has to be a really great representation of you and your business. So the very first thing we said was the cover sheet. That's going to say, you know, your logo, your contact information, all of that great stuff. Now we're going to lead you into, you know, more about your Hangout. So that's the next page. I always talk of that page being like the, you know, who, what, when, where, why, you know, that kind of page where you want to get out that, you know, old journalism class and make sure you answer all of those questions that someone would want to know right off the bat. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who is your audience? All of those things. Is there something else that you might add to that page that, you know, would make it different that, you know, for someone? I think it's the challenges in these kinds of formulas that they can tend to look too cookie cutter. You know, how would you really kind of make sure that this person, theirs just looks totally different than everyone else's?
Well, a lot of it would be, for me, making sure to include images that are representative of the brand. Oftentimes, if you have a logo and you've been doing this a while, you've been doing some Hangouts, and you're at a point where you're ready to start reaching out for sponsorship opportunities, you probably should have some other media that is going to reflect, you know, what it is that you're doing. Maybe it's some screen captures of, you know, some shows that you've been on, or maybe it's a thread of some comments that was really, really good, or some compliments and quotes that people have said about your show that we could kind of intersperse with like bigger fonts and that kind of thing, kind of like some cutaways that you'll see in books and on websites where it's like, hey, this is a quote that you really need to pay attention to, that it really adequately reflects the value that the viewers of this show are getting, because that's the kind of thing that are really going to attract the attention of the sponsors, because they're going to realize, wow, this is a really engaged community. This is a community that if we are funneling some money into this to make sure that our products and services get seen, we're going to see a return on that investment, and that's what they want to see. So. Right.
And that leads me into another sort of point that I struggled with in the beginning, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there who are hosts of these shows, and they understand that, you know, they're struggling with it too. Is you think, if I bring on a sponsor, am I going to really be selling the audience, and I'm just, you know, going to be promoting anything under the sun? And the thing is, you know, there are definitely always creative ways where you can take a brand and work it into your packaging, you know, that will work and that will be in a way that that makes sense. Like we talked last time, we did our Hangout about McDonald's sponsoring the Olympics. They do that as they're an American brand, and they come out as I'm an American brand. And so there are ways that you can kind of be creative and make the brand link with your brand so that that makes sense. I can tell you with a media kit, your whole objective, the whole thing is not about you at all. It's actually about the brand you want to work with. It's about what can you do for them. It's not, hey, I have this great thing and you can be a part of it. And I think that a lot of people make that mistake. I mean, I think it's hard to do because you get onto social media and you have your followers and you think, you know, I'm great, you know, this is what I do, and you just kind of like cookie cutter put it into that box when it's so much more about what they want from you, what their goals are, rather than what your goals are. I mean, you pitch all the time your graphic services. What do you find works for you? I know you had your media kit that you showed last time. Do you still have that, or
the what?
Your media kit that you show when you try to go out for a new client for graphics?
Oh yeah. Would you like me to grab that real quick?
Yeah, show that again. Show that again so that people can look at it. And while he's getting that, you know, I think that part of that, it also can make you tailor your media kit to that audience. So you kind of ask some questions and say, like, you know, what are your goals? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get more followers on Google+? Are you trying to get a better email list? Are you running a certain promotion right now? These are questions you can ask before you even send the media kit that sort of qualifies so that you're able to do a really nice pitch letter with it. This is how I think I can address your particular needs, and this is how I'm going to make sure that your ideas are forefront in our show. But you don't need to necessarily tailor the show content just to, you know, placate us. You know, I mean, how boring would that be if, like, 1 minute you were talking about, you know, if 1 minute I was talking about interior design and the next minute I'm talking about iPads. Like, my whole audience would be like, what? That doesn't make sense. So.
But if you sign up to my mailing list now, you can get a free iPad.
I know, that's so not what, you know, what I do, but I think that you can absolutely, you know, Jeffrey Johnson's saying, should we have this several media kits to target different markets? I think if you keep your media kit sort of more general and then accompany it to a pitch letter, then you're not necessarily having to switch it out all the time, but it needs to be updated for sure. I mean, we did ours, we redid ours in, I think it was December, and it needs to be updated. All the numbers have changed. You know, that's huge. What is that one, Michael? The question, I can't read it. I work with a lot of companies building their...
A question from Lee Rickler. He works with a lot of companies building their online presence, and one thing he insists on is never using stock photos.
Thank you. Thank
you.
Okay. Let me say something about that. It used to work. It really used to work, like in 1990. But honestly, it's very, very evident nowadays when you go on any company website, any brand, and you've got all these smiling, happy people that you see on any number of other websites or book covers or billboards or whatever.
With like the earphone, like the teleprompter, you know, like the headset.
Yeah. And it's bad. It's cheesy. It's a poor reflection of reality. And honestly, like, people are starting to see through it. And so I have a really cool example of that. Actually, I got my media kit printed at a local UPS store because I'm friends with the owner. And he actually, as a UPS store owner, the corporate company will send them, you know, brochures with like stock images of UPS workers and whatever. But he has opted to ignore all of that, and they designed their own with photographs of the employees from that particular store. So all of the marketing in that store is the employees who work there, and they get compliments all the time. It's like, oh yeah, do you have a pricing list? And they'll hand it, and they'll kind of look at it and be like, wait a second, this is you. And they're like, yeah, that's me. But it's something that it really adds a personal flavor to your brand. And they have won, I think, best print shop in this area consistently for a very long time because people trust them now. And this is all about trust. If you're doing things like just stock images all the time, people aren't going to trust you as much. And
well, I agree, and it's the same thing with sending out, you know, these mass emails. Like if you wanted to try to pick up a sponsor and you wanted to call, you know, 10 different PR agencies and you just CC all of them and you do the same pitch to all of them, that is not cool.
We have GoDaddy watching the show.
Yay! GoDaddy!
Do you want me to talk briefly about the media kit?
Show us your media kit. I'm going to put in basically a really bad but just a quick sample of what some of the pages could look like after the show is over. But keep in mind, I just kind of slapped it together in like 20 minutes, and I don't recommend you just DIY and slap it together. It's got to be something really.
You contact me.
I know. Contact Ryan or contact, you know, a graphics person for sure. Ryan's gonna have a special price that he's gonna put together. And Ryan, are you still running your logo special that you had?
I can. Basically, the way that I'm gonna do it is I normally charge $3.97 for a basic branding package, which is your logo, a style guide, you know, up to 3, potentially more if I'm feeling really creative, examples of a logo that you can choose from, and like up to 2 social media banners. I usually charge $3.97 for that, but if you mention plus my reach, I give people $100 off of that. So, and I've decided to kind of keep that ongoing because I've had a lot of people contact me since, and I like you guys, so.
Well, we're happy to have. That's one of the reasons we wanted a graphics person on here, just so that people had a place to go. Because obviously, Plus My Reach, we don't offer graphic services, but these are kind of important things that you might want to have. We'll probably have different people on the show that are experts in their area as we go on with these. But it's kind of important when you have in the very beginning to have your graphics in line, and you can kind of move forward and DIY it from there. If you know your fonts, you know your colors, you have the basic stuff covered, you can kind of start to lean forward and do some really creative stuff by yourself because you have the template.
And that's why I wanted to include the style guide as well, because there are a lot of designers that will hold that stuff hostage. They won't tell you what fonts they're using. They won't tell you the exact colors. And as you kind of move forward with your brand, like after I design my business card, I've got the colors there, the black and the orange, and the white on the back, and that's something that then I obviously will want to keep consistent through the rest of the brand. So on this folder that I sent out, you see that it's got the same kind of color scheme, and then on the back I've got contact information, and on the inside I include basically a proposal that I'm sending to potential clients, some recommendations from people that I've worked with in different industries, as well as my business card, contact info, and a personal letter that just basically says, hey, I'm Ryan from Reformation Designs. I noticed that you have XYZ problem, and here is a solution for you, already laid out, already printed out in a really nice, easy to understand format, and right there in their hands before they weren't even expecting these things, but they get these answers to problems that they know that they have. And it's amazing what happens. People call you and they're like, yes, please, can you help me? And
yes.
So
that's what you want, right? You want to be able to turn that into sending out a media kit, so it doesn't just stay there. You want to sort of you're planting a seed. You're pitching something that's that is specific to that particular brand. The other important part that I usually include, I don't always necessarily include it in that specific spot, is I bring in the social media numbers, and we're all on social. And believe me, brands care about audience, so they definitely want your numbers. And there's a way, like if you don't have, we have pretty good numbers on the interior design community across the board, like with every social media network. So, and we're 11 moderators, so we kind of put our numbers together, and we have, a huge number at the end. But you can kind of put whatever spin on that you want. Where are you strongest, and really highlight that, and then have other things too. Or maybe you want to include one big number that says this is how many contacts I have, and then just put all of the different social channels under it. Like if you have really huge numbers on Google Plus, but you're really low everywhere else, you could kind of put all the numbers together, put the number, and then have just the different social media icons at the bottom, just so people know how far and wide their message would get by working with you.
Data is currency these days, folks, if you don't get that already.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty important. It's pretty important. And then I kind of get into this is where I can tell you from my own experience, it's been a little bit of an education part. You can't, people know what blogging is. They know Twitter chats. These are formats that have already really been successful for brands. Hangouts are kind of new. So it's not uncommon if you talk to a brand and they don't even know what a Hangout is. Sometimes you're talking to the marketing person, they don't really know necessarily every single format. There's just so many different platforms out there for social media. So explaining in your media kit what a Hangout is can be a really important thing. We have a sheet like that in our media kit, and I can tell you it solves some problems right there. And we talk about all the fantastic things that Hangouts have to offer, and just one, Hangouts are great for search. Hangouts are by nature cross-platform because they appear on Google Plus and they're saved on YouTube. You know, we talk about all of these great benefits of Hangouts and why they're different than maybe some of the other things that brands are doing, like Twitter chats or Facebook ads or promotions on Pinterest and things like that. So, you know, just really highlighting and getting specific about why they would want to consider just doing the Hangout and why it's so different than other sort of areas they can put their money, and how dynamic it can be and how cross-platform it can be from the very essence, which I think makes it incredibly unique.
Right. Laura, can you just, for anyone who might not really kind of understand, can you just very briefly give an example of, you know, like any sponsorships or anything like that you have going on right now? I mean, you don't have to get into like specifics.
Sure, yeah.
But...
We actually, this week we have Uncle Bob's Self-Storage. Their company brought in by one of our moderators, and we're doing a show about organization. We definitely are going to stick to our own format for interior design community and not do something that isn't us. You know, it's not gonna be a full show about Uncle Bob's Self-Storage, but they are our sponsor. We'll mention them in the intro and outro, and a call to action for them, and a show that's really in line with their principles. And that is that, you know, Uncle Bob's Self-Storage, they quite often are used for like remodeling, that kind of thing. And so when you're cleaning out, or when you're moving, or when you're doing something, they have they want to be used as that, or you're staging a home, that kind of thing. They want to make sure that they're thought of in that realm. So working with interior design community, it was a really good fit for us.
Well, that's the thing is, it's obviously whenever you're looking for sponsors, you want to look for sponsors that you are okay with promoting their services because it kind of coincides with your brand. I mean, it'd be kind of weird to have a show, or, you know, have your show about interior design and then talk about, you know, have a fast food sponsor. So it'd just be weird.
It is, but you know, we had a discussion about this because in interior design community we have a lot of bloggers. I mean, there's just a ton out there. So we were talking about monetizing your blog, and some of the people that we work with, they've done some really out there stuff, but they just do it in a creative way that it links. And you can't just say like, I'm going to promote, you know, snow blowers, you know. But if I said, you know, if I did a show about, you know, cleaning up your, if I did a show about cleaning out, you know, old things, or if you know, there's a way to link it with interior design community, moving on out, or moving, or staging maybe, and then I want to say, you know, today our sponsor is, you know, selling snowblower. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily be where your whole show is, and that's where I struggled, because interior design community, I don't know if people know this, we operate it as a nonprofit. So the money that comes into the community goes to educate and, you know, make the community better and provide information to the design community in large. So it's a really neat thing, but we're very careful that our message is not changed because of sponsorships. Our education, we want to be a resource for interior designers. We don't just want to be, you know, hawking this product or hawking that product. It's just not us. So, and that's not why we have, you know, 11 moderators doing their time. They're like Jeffrey Johnson's one of our moderators, and he's, you know, he's so high end, you know, that we wouldn't necessarily want to be on there talking about a product we don't believe in.
Absolutely.
So that's another thing that, you know, and I think that can be a challenge for some of the shows. I don't know, Ryan, you and I were talking about this a while ago, and it was that, you know, some of the shows that are on Google+, they don't necessarily, you know, have their target audience fleshed out yet. You know, and that's something that is going to be really difficult to sell to a brand if you don't really know who your audience is. Like for us, it's super easy. Interior designers or our audience in the home decor market, that kind of thing. But it's harder when you're doing a show that's more general. When you're talking like small business or, you know, social media or some of these other shows, but there are still tons and tons and tons of products that link with that branding message. So, you know, those are the maybe the sponsors, maybe those are the brands you want to work with, is someone who's sort of linked with what you're doing, and your audience would actually really benefit from that partnership, because really that's what it is. I mean, they start out, honestly, sometimes really small, like you might do a blog post for someone or an ad for someone, and if they have a great relationship with you, then they want to come back and do more with you. So it's really important that you really make even those small inroads in with a brand really work out well for them, so that they really come back and ask you for more and more and more. And they do, you know, because they've worked with you before.
Right.
You're already set up in their system. They know you. They can trust you.
People do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, this is where I do think that Hangouts have an advantage. They're seeing our faces. They're seeing our voice. You know, whereas a blog post, it could be, you know, some weirdo in a basement. You never know. A brand doesn't really know. They kind of measure numbers, but they have to go in faith based on reading the blog and that kind of thing. And the one really great advantage, I think, for Hangouts is that they can watch a few of our Hangouts and really essentially get to know who we are by watching them. I think that's a great thing. So we have, you know, the sheet that says your logo and all of your contact information. We have the next sheet that says who, what, when, where, why, who you are, who your audience is, that kind of thing, your social media numbers. And then we have the next sheet that has, like, what the heck are Hangouts, right? So you kind of, like, list that. And then I kind of go into my process, and I have different opportunities. I actually like to tell my audience, my brand, that what I do before a Hangout, during a Hangout, and after a Hangout, and where their call of action can fit into my process. So I have a checklist that I send usually that says these are all the different things I do. You know, I start I have a hey, I'm a weirdo in a basement, Nathaniel. Yay! I have, like, I was trying to think. I have this checklist that before the Hangout I might make a custom graphic. I will, for the header, and I make a pinnable image. I might do a trailer if I have time. I don't always have time. I will do, I'll put a graphic in there if I can't do a full trailer. I'll at least put a graphic in there. I will write a description. I mean, these are things everyone does, right? When you're starting a Hangout, you have your description, you have your custom header, you have these are all places where a logo can go for your brand, a call to action with a link to their, you know, you can even have them give you a custom link where they can measure where the links are coming from, and that's creating some traffic to them. That's actually really something that some brands do, and they love it. I'm thinking of all the different parts you can do. You can do, during a Hangout, you have your intro, an outro, and a call to action. So, you know, hey guys, you know, today's show is sponsored by blah, blah, blah. You know, they're the #1 resource for blah, 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 you know, and go forward. And, you know, today would really like you to follow their brand page, you know, on Google+, you know. And then in the outro, thanks so much to brand X for, you know, sponsoring our show. Make sure you go on over and, you know, check out their brand page. And that gives you a couple of chances to talk about the brand. And really, during the show, you just try to make sure that your show is you. It's what you normally do, but your particular show links with their brand message in some way, and that's kind of how you pitch it. Sure. So that's my I definitely put that as a process. Do you do that when you're talking about? I actually really like that, because it definitely shows how hard doing a Hangout is. So they understand that you're not just putting up a Hangout and that's it. I mean, I've seen brands come on here. I really do pay attention, and sometimes they do all of the others. They just start the Hangout and they expect a huge audience right away. They don't interact with people on Google Plus. They don't get to know people on Google Plus. But they start a Hangout and they're like, why wasn't it successful? It was really weird. You know, we're a big brand. Why aren't we getting attention? And I think that's, you know, that's where Google Plus is different. You know, we want the interaction. We want people to talk to us. So if we're not doing that, if the brand isn't doing that, they're going to get low numbers too. And it could be a really big national brand. And you know, that's where you can show, look, I don't just put up a Hangout and expect a bunch of people to show up. I, you know, promote it in email. I write a blog post. I, you know, share it through my 250,000 followers. I promote it several times through the week. I talk about it. I bring fabulous people onto the show to make it really interesting. After it's done, I send it out through social media again. I write a blog post about it. I email, you know, do an email campaign to my email list with a picture of it and a link to that blog post. You know, there's just tons of different places that, you know, you can show that work, that what you're putting into your Hangout, and show why they want to spend the money with you. I mean, because really, like, why do they? You know, it's because you have something that they can't get anywhere else, and you have to show, you know, these are all the different awesome things that I can do, and I can really highlight your brand in a great way and bring your brand into, you know, into our audience, and they can get to know you better. And then I think actually, if brands paid attention and they linked up with some of these great influencers on Google Plus, and there's tons of fantastic shows on Google Plus, then they can do, you know, maybe a couple on different shows that they're sponsoring, and then they come back and do some of their own. Now they have a built-in audience because they've been interacting with Google Plus followers, you know, so people have gotten to know them and they want to come to their Hangout. I mean, it's a smart move for a brand also, especially if they're thinking about getting here. I mean, we all know, I think, that shoppable Hangouts is going to rule the world. I mean, it's like QVC for free, you know. So I think that, you know, that's going to be a huge thing for brands. And to come in now, I'm seeing more and more come in, and it's really exciting. And when they can come in and spend the time here, they definitely want to link up with some awesome people that are here, like you, Ryan. You know, and all the people we have here in the audience. It's awesome. So that's those two. I wouldn't include those. I know someone down here mentioned that they have a blog and they want to do a media kit. You know, those are, I think, really specific to Google Plus. Like, you want to have definitely a sheet that talks about all the great things, what Hangouts are, and then another sheet about the process, because you're not promoting it. I mean, most people aren't promoting a show just on Google Plus. They're promoting it everywhere. They're writing blog posts about it. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you do to make your show exciting. So, and you know, walk a brand through that process and put in there where their call to action can happen. And not every brand has the same motives. Like, some brands might want more email subscribers that month. Some brands might be, you know, introducing a new product, and they want to talk about it, and they want to really kind of present it. Some brands might want to, they want to link with that kind of audience. They're doing something new, and they really want to get it in that audience. Sometimes you don't even see it. You're like, how does that link with my audience? And then you have to think of a creative way that it can work, you know. And sometimes you're approaching because you have this fantastic idea. Don't be afraid to approach a brand with a really awesome opportunity and a great idea that, you know, would really work for them. I think it would be, you know, really smart to start pitching and talking about it.
I don't know if you saw the chat. Michael was asking a question.
Yes. What is Michael asking?
I don't know if we need.
Yeah, I'm here. I mute myself, but we've got. Oh, I'll take that off. It would help. One moment, because we've already covered that. No, I saw a media kit online recently that somebody was putting out there to check, and I came back with some comments, even though I haven't got a media kit myself. And it was pretty obvious to me that the media kit was talking about the business and what it can do. And I thought, ego. And I didn't really like it. It just smacked of somebody shaking my hand in the street or in the bar and just talking at me, and I didn't really care for it. But other media kits that I've seen that talk about not just what the business has done and who they've worked with, because this one just seemed to be pages upon pages of clients. I don't name drop even on my website, I don't think. I think I may have 2 or 3 endorsements on there. But when somebody's talking about all the brands they've worked with, and that is all the media kit contains, for me, that's just about ego. I'm more interested from a consumer's point of view in what they can do for me. I've got a problem, and I want to see if these guys can do it for me. You know, and if they're presenting me with a media kit, I would hope that that media kit talks to me about how long they've been around, what their experience is, people who they may have worked with specific to my industry as well. I think you were talking there, Ryan, about a page that you put in, and I'd do something similar to that myself, maybe have an insert that could go into the media kit specific to that business market or that product or service. So, but like I say, I'm not the expert. I'm here to run all.
No, I think that's really smart. I mean, I usually make the media kit sort of more standard, like I said, and then I have a pitch letter that I do that talks about them, that says this is what I do. This is a show that I have, right? But in my email to them, I would say these are the different things that I think it could do for you. I see that you have this product and that you're just now releasing this product. My audience would love that product, you know, or you have, you know, some new cool thing that you're doing or a new great contest. Maybe we want to link up and get my audience to pay attention to that because it's a really cool thing for them. You know, I always think about my audience and how my audience would what they would want to hear, what they'd be really interested in too, and how a brand that I might work with would help them. And then we actually take the money and we put it into things like, you know, covering trade shows where designers couldn't get to that trade show, and we would be able to cover that show for them. Or we hope to build it to a point where we can do scholarships for kids, you know, going into design school. You know, the schools are cutting out arts right and left, unfortunately.
Oh, it's terrible.
I know. We'd love to see that we can grow to do something like that. It would be pretty remarkable, you know. The next thing I think you want to get at is your pricing. And I actually love the process where you have like your all the different a la carte menu that you might offer. Like, so you might want to be able to do Pinterest boards for them. You might want to write a blog post. Hangouts I do into 3 sections. So one is a Hangout that I do, and that's a full package where I promote it. I do all my steps that I talked about. One is Hangout on site. So they want to bring you somewhere and bring you to a trade show. I've been to a few different trade shows where we've done Hangouts live, and I've also been here while I was interviewing someone live from a show. So those are different things that you can do, and they're really exciting because it brings a really that live buzz of a trade show live out there, and it's immediate, instant gratification goodness. I love it, love it, love it. So offer on site if you can. You know, if you can take time off and go somewhere. Offer some on-site hangouts, and then you might want to do hosting for them if they're doing a product release and they haven't really gotten into Hangouts too much. They really want someone who's experienced to really run the production and help host it. You can offer that too. And then I do off Google Plus stuff like blog posts, blog ads, Pinterest boards that could be connected to the same Hangout. Email marketing, you know, we have an email subscriber list of like 5,000 designers, so that kind of stuff, like, I can offer as a whole package where they'll be included in these different parts of you know, my process. And then so I'll do this a la carte menu, and then at the bottom I'll have a couple of easy packages that they can just sort of like, this comes with these 10 things, you know, 3 things, 5 things, whatever you want to put together. And make it easy, you know, so they don't have to, you know, you're giving them a discount if they buy more, which is great. And I missed that. I know I really shouldn't have, because it's really important. I do have it in my media kit, and I didn't include it in my little template. But for sure, Ryan, you know, having testimonials, having your reach numbers, you know, you absolutely have to have those things because they want to know. I mean, the reason that we started with Plus My Reach is because I needed analytics for Hangouts, and I was comparing it to Twitter chats where they had hash tracking reports, and I wanted to be able to have something very similar that I could hand out to a brand. And you know, that's the foundation of why we started Plus My Reach. And I think that you absolutely have to report that. How they want to know at the end how successful it was. They want to see who was involved. You know, sometimes we've talked about this in the past, but sometimes an audience doesn't have to be the hugest audience if it's really targeted to what the brand is interested in. You know, if they want to market to, you know, like I just said, like interior designers, then you can have 50 amazing interior designers watching you, and those people matter because they're big. You know, they're somebody that brand really would want to get to know. So I think that that's the key, is, you know, sort of putting those testimonials. You show your testimonial sheet again, because I love yours. Okay. That looks so good. It's better than mine.
Well, if you'd like help with it, Laurie, we can talk after the show.
I know.
Mention Plus My Reach and I'll give you $100 off. So this is one of the testimonial sheets that I put together. The guy at the top is a guy named Rick Frishman. He is a PR guy, best-selling author, just a wonderful, wonderful guy. He really helped me get started in working with guys like Jack Canfield and this next guy, Jim Kwik. He's got a website called SuperheroYou and Kwik Learning, and basically it's just, you know, a quote, a recommendation about me and my wife's services. And basically, guys, if you have done work with pretty much anybody, just give them a call after, you know, it doesn't matter how long it's been, as long as you still have maintained a relationship with them. Just call them and say, hey, look, you know, I'm trying to grow my business a little bit more. Would you mind writing a recommendation for me? You know, and ask them to be as specific as possible. Our friend Maria, she is a artist consultant for her husband Drew Brophy down in SoCal, and she gave me a really great quote that I'm happy to put on our website, and it just talks about not just what we do, but how we do it and the problems we solve, because that's the kind of stuff that your clients are going to be, and your prospects are going to be looking for or looking to you for. It's like, what is their pain point and how do you solve that? And Michael, I think that that's kind of what you were talking about before, is that you know, a lot of times whenever you're just getting started out, and I can attest to this myself, it's an uncomfortable thing figuring out how do you communicate how do you communicate your brand and not come across like you're just tooting your own horn all the time. And really, it's about figuring out a way to communicate that you're there to serve these people, you're there to help them accomplish their goals. And Zig Ziglar, one of the giants of sales, he said it all the time. He said, you can get anything you want as long as you help other people get everything they want. And that's, you know, really one of the great things about the testimonials is you are right there showing, hey, here's some people who we have helped them achieve their goals, and that's what your prospects are looking for. So make sure to include that in your marketing, your media kits, that kind of thing. And if you don't have them, a lot of times lately, it's very simple to reach out to people on LinkedIn, because those recommendations oftentimes will even appear on your own LinkedIn profiles. So anyway.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think that testimonials from the right people too, you know, if they're, you can actually switch those out. So if it's a brand that you know that these other brands, they would know really a lot about those other brands, they match their brand a lot, or they work with their brand, then you can kind of switch out testimonials too, and have, you know, 3 or 4 that, you know, that are, and with, you know, either the person's picture like you had or a logo from the company. You know, these are the people who've said, hey, I've worked with this person before and she did a great job. We really had a great time with it. The other thing is that you make sure that you include, you know, something that this is the key, is it has to be very graphically beautiful. So
Absolutely.
I do caution the DIYers, and I don't blame you if you DIY, because it's expensive to do this type of thing. But I can say that I caution you because it is such an important document that it's just got to look really nice. I mean, it's got to look flawless. You know, it has to be magazine quality, in my opinion, so that they can look at it and it just says everything about why they would want to work with you. And then, you know, then you talk to them personally about what you think, how you think you could work together, and how you think that you could work their goals into your format. So I think we pretty much covered anything. If there's any questions, Michael.
I think we covered a lot of the questions too.
I think actually just about all the questions have been covered, but just so the people that know
I think
that
there's one here from Nathaniel. He wants to know what factors seem to affect connectivity quality most. You'd love to do on-site hangouts. You know, I had trouble with it. So I've had good scenarios where we had decent Wi-Fi, or we had decent we had an Ethernet connection, and I've had terrible scenarios where it was not good. And you always have a backup plan. So and tell them ahead of time that you're going to have a backup plan. So if the Wi-Fi is just not happening, record it. You'll have the equipment to do the recording, and then you just present it as a hangout. You throw the video in there like it's a hangout, and you're able to like interact with the audience live, but you know, release the video like it's a hangout instead of doing a hangout live. It stinks. It's not as much fun as that live energy of that, you know, that live.
You can actually mix up the video, because we've done this with Vuzix headwear. We were going to try and get somebody in with glass as well, but apparently the equipment gets very hot after 5 minutes. But we did one time with live drive. So we had cameras in the car, cameras in the showroom, and I was running the camera angles, mixing the shots, and we had side-by-side shots and everything. And all we did is when the signal dropped in the car, we switched to the live feed in the showroom. The guy, obviously they knew what was happening. I coached them beforehand to let them know, you know, these little boxes at the bottom, make sure you know which one's, you know, displaying, and I had my screen share running, and it works really sweet. But the one that we did with for properties, we had wearables inside, wearables outside, pre-recorded, laptop, mobile, iPhone, and Android, all in the same hangout, switching between the different ones as we were going along, and it went really smoothly. But it's just like Lottie says, you need a backup plan. If it was me and I was doing something remote, I would probably arrive with a trunk full of, you know, spare equipment. There's no way I'd want that hangout not to run.
Right.
But
I actually have a pretty sweet like travel setup. I was at KBIS. It was actually pretty cool. I have an iPhone 5. So I was doing my video with iPhone 5. I had an iPod with two Rode lav mics, and I recorded the sound because it's so noisy in a trade show. And I had this special like camera case that you can put on your iPhone that has like a wide-angle lens and a shoe for a light. And then I put that into a tripod, a pretty light tripod, and I brought this these. I didn't think it would be. My husband thought it was overkill, but it was actually this this wheel, the dollies, you know, a dolly for my tripod, so I could wheel it around. Wow. That thing saved my life. I'm telling you, because the trade show floor is huge, you know, and I was walking everywhere, and I just would roll it with me like an ivy pole, you know. It was kind of funny, and it got like everybody was like, "What are you doing? What kind of cameras?" I'm like, "It's an iPhone. It's not, it's
it's your addiction."
Lottie, can I tell you what I'm actually trying to do?
What? I want to hear.
This thing has a camera on it.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, but right now I cannot feed live, and I'm finding a way of doing it, and I've discovered a way of doing it. I want to send this up. Yeah, it's a drone. I want to send it up, take a live feed, and drop it into a Hangout, just for the hell of it, just because I can. You know,
I would love. I'll come and see that one, because that is awesome.
I'm in a conversation with about 4 or 5 guys over in the States, and we're talking about the feasibility of it and what equipment you would need and the signals and everything. And it's not rocket science. It just means I don't want to spend like $1,000 on kit that may not work. I just want to find the right piece of kit and do it. That's it, you know. So watch this space.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see. I have one that we're messing with because I'd like to get. I'd like to be able to do that on the trade show floor before it opens, so I can get a nice like overview shot that I can edit into my video at some of these national trade shows. Cause it's so neat. I've actually been in they have like they build like a catwalk thing. And I've been up there for interviews before, and you just see the whole floor, and it's a cool look. So being able to do that would be really nice. Someone asked about 3G, 4G. If I remember correctly, I've tried this.
I was just gonna say I think Michael has to duck out here pretty soon.
Oh, okay, yes. I just want to get this one real quick. I think that you can't start a Hangout from your phone. Right? You can't start an on-air Hangout from your phone. You can join one from your phone or iPad, but you can't start one.
What you can do, what I've done when I've done outside broadcasts, if you want to use that term, is I've actually started the Hangout live with the desktop computer or a laptop. I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but it isn't a regular Hangout. I can actually broadcast a private Hangout, so you can bring Google Glass, Vuzix, any equipment you want into a private Hangout, and then you have to play around with it and mix it and then send it out.
But you can come in as a guest with an iPhone or an iPad. So you could have like a friend start one, and then you just come in and sort of run the show from your phone. That's a possibility. So keep that open mind. We actually have to close out the show. Do you have a few minutes, Michael? Did you want to bring Mia in for a second to do our announcement?
We have, if Mia's available,
Is Mia available?
I'm going to send her an invite.
Do you want me to do the offer thing real quick, or?
Yes,
please.
Why don't you do that while we're doing this?
Okay, so if you guys like what you hear about media kits and you think that it's right for you, please take advantage of this. If you get in touch with me, I normally charge about $650 for this media kit, but if, like I said earlier, if you mention Plus My Reach, I will give you guys a $100 discount on any of my services. So please take advantage of that, and that is indefinite until I can't take any more people. So it's all of this is on a first come first served basis, and I just first of all wanted to thank all you guys. You've been great, but you know I'm really willing to help you guys get the word out about your brand. So if you would like any help with branding, logo design, Hangout trailers, I'm starting to do that. I do those for Lainey Sullivan and Those Four Girls. Please give me a shout at reformationdesigns.com, or you can ping me here on Google+.
Are you going to put in a graphic with your pricing like you did last time?
Yeah, I will. I'll design an image and post something up here in the event window a little bit later that will kind of have
please
some details.
do, because then that image itself can have its own commenting against it,
Sure.
and that stays.
Okay.
We like it to stay at the top of the event page as well, even though the comments are coming through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if there's if it doesn't look like we got Mia, so we'll talk about our secret surprise later. But it was awesome having everyone. Thanks so much for listening to me blah blah blah.
It was great, it was really good.
I hope it was some good, decent information. I know what it's like not knowing what a media kit is, because I've been there. Like the first time someone asks you about it, you're like, what is a media kit? I will Google this.
I think what Lottie and I will have to do is do a quick pre-recorded hangout to make the announcement when we can get Mia on board, and then we'll release that in the next day or two. But it's like I said yesterday in the Q&A hangout, we've got a lot of things happening over the next few days. Hopefully within the next week we will be out of beta, and we've got some important announcements to make as well, which would be great.
Yeah, exciting news.
Stay tuned.
Well, thanks, everybody. Michael, I'll let you close out the show because you dropped the mic last time.
Look, if you want me to produce, if you want me to run the hangout and the tech, that's fine. But when it gets to the end, I just get the microphone and go, bye-bye.
The end.
Okay, any final words, Ryan?
No, I just wanted to thank you, Michael and Laurie, for having me on. It's always a great pleasure to be here, and thank all you guys for watching and the comments. And make sure, if you haven't followed all of us, please do so.
Yeah. And Laurie, any final words?
Just, make sure that you come on by, and we're doing a whole series of these videos that will help you get to that monetization route, and hopefully you'll, at the end up with some sponsors and make this something that you actually are making some money from and want to continue doing. Hangouts are great. We love them. But if you're spending a ton of time, you want it to be something that you do make some money doing.
Yeah,
so.
Definitely. Okay, well, it's good night from me, it's good night from her, and it's good night from him. See you later, guys.
Bye.